Hello and welcome to Journeys and Journals. We're traveling far with our young guests today. They've not only traveled far, but around the world with their products. And because of the importance of these inventors, I'd like you to meet them again. And you are?
I'm Ben Henry.
And Barclay Ben Henry.
Brothers, when did you start inventing? I mean, did you make go-karts when you were 6 and 12, or like most Boy Scouts?
No, we had some construct. I guess that was like Legos type material.
Right.
You could build just about anything you could imagine from scratch. You could make cars. You had wheels. You could make guitars. You could do castles, all kinds of stuff.
And you remember those days fondly?
Yeah. And yeah, we'd make basically anything we could think of. We'd make jets, and we'd have missiles that you could fling off and all sorts of stuff. So, yeah.
Teach them young to be inventors, because you are the inventor, right?
Right, I guess so.
And you are the inspiration for the invention? Mm-hmm. You know, big brothers are pretty special. I'm thrilled to have you both here again to talk a little bit more. Your inventions are blinking here on me. Why? Well, what in the world is this about?
This here was just a little black box for attracting attention. Oh. And if you look on the underneath side, it has a 9-volt battery, and this one blinking LED runs through a little transistor and makes all 4 of the others LEDs on the top side blink at the same time.
And why'd you do this?
Because I had the parts and I wanted to know if I could.
Ooh, oh, yeah, I wanted to know if I could. And from here, you've gone to Nordstrom's, is that right?
Yeah, from that one, I went to Nordstrom's, and our neighbor's daughter was the head decorator at Nordstrom's down in San Francisco. And they had these displays that were kind of out by themselves, and they didn't have any electricity to them. And they wanted some lights to attract attention for a sale that they were having. But nobody wanted to cut up the marble floor to get power out to these displays.
Oh, and you can't just hang a flashlight over it or something like that.
No, so I made these.
So you just said, I can do that, huh?
Yep. And it was about the size of a little bit bigger than a shoebox, and had 32 LEDs all the way around it. And they blinked, every 4th LED would blink, and it would just go around in a circle.
So it looked like they were chasing each other, just continually going around.
And they ran off of 8D batteries, and they left them on continuously for 2 weeks, because that's how long the sale was, and they didn't have to change the batteries on them.
Oh my goodness. And how'd you come up with this idea? This box?
Yeah, that box kind of led into that, and the neighbor's daughter had seen our flashlight and wanted to know if, maybe these guys can figure something out for our predicament.
Just maybe. And then they decided not just to use it for shoes,
but
it was such a great idea.
They also used it for ties, and
the sky's the limit here on what you could do. I wish
There's a lot you can do with electronics.
I wished I could look inside that head and say, ooh, patent your head. Well, now, is your head what should we say, fertile ground for inventions as your brother?
Yeah, we got into racing electric cars.
That was the next step?
That was kind of the next thing we got into, after hiking.
Well,
I looked into...
So let's just refresh this hiking. You hiked the entire trail.
Entire Pacific Crest Trail. From Mexico
to Canada. I've been told it can't be done. By the time it's warm enough in one place, it's frozen over in another.
Well, the trick is starting at the right time and have your gear light enough to where you can travel fast enough to get it done in time. So there's a few people that do it every year.
How'd you train for it?
I actually started walking every day for about 5 months beforehand. I was walking 2 to 3 miles a day, carrying 30 to 40 pounds. So I was carrying a lot more weight than I did on the trail, so it was more of a strength training
And,
to get in shape for it.
Yeah, because you had to have a big flashlight on your walk, right?
Well, I just carried a little one.
I mean, any flashlight, and that's where your genius came in, and he said, brother,
Yep, make me
I need a better light.
I need a better light. And these flashlights are just, well, like, you know, I'm really excited about them, but I never knew about the box. Why are both boxes thick?
It was about 4 inches high, and that was to just get it off the
So
case
it's like it's on a
bottom.
pedestal.
Yeah, it's on a little pedestal.
Because this could actually be on a 1/2 inch box. Or
Right, yeah, it could be very small, but if you have an object that you're trying to display, for instance, well, let's just set it right up here on the table. Do that. And if you're trying to display this, for instance, it's not going to stand out quite as well as if you had it elevated over the rest of the plane there.
Oh, that makes sense. And you could probably put equipment in here
Yeah,
that you have other things. But this is not a real roadside cone.
No,
It's special.
it's special. It was a trophy I got for racing one of my electric cars.
How'd you get into electric cars?
I guess it started being living off grid like we do. There's a magazine called Home Power that does all kinds of articles on living off grid, and they had a energy fair in John Day, Oregon. And I wanted to go up there and check out and see all the new latest stuff, and they had a electric car race up there, and it looked like too much fun. So
Too much fun. So then what happened next?
well, that was 3 years ago.
Yeah, about 3, maybe 4 years ago.
Maybe been 4 years ago, and then the next summer I had my first
You said,
first race
if
car.
they can do it, I can do
I
it.
can do that. That's right.
Well, and here it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
How big is your car?
The cars range from, on the bigger racetracks, will be as long as up to 12 foot is the limit, but most of them around 5 to 7 feet probably is a good
And-
average.
I mean, this has room for you,
Just barely, yeah.
and you built it from scratch?
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
We built several cars, different models, keep improving.
well, this looks like it's not a tin box. Do you use fiberglass?
We use fiberglass, yeah. Our cars are fiberglass foam construction. It's a composite, and there's all kinds. There's people that build their cars out of aluminum, out of steel. Everybody's got their different idea of what's the best way of building a car.
And
That's what's so neat about it.
Here it is. Here it is. Certificate. Your team's called what?
Backlight team, yeah.
I shouldn't be surprised if Packlight had come back into this. Just like, do people at these places know about your Packlights?
Yeah. Yeah,
'Cause
we usually
they're
sell a few at the races.
Because they're inventors, they're people who are innovative. What has it meant to you? By the way, these are both homeschooled kids, and I'm a little proud of that. What's it meant to you? Have
Well,
success in this area too?
It's just another a great way to learn about mechanical things and the electrical side of the vehicle. One of our neighbors is an airplane mechanic, and he showed me how to weld, and that's how we got started building the cars, was welding the frames together. And so there's all these different things. We've learned how to weld, working on these cars. We learned how to fiberglass, and he's gotten into the painting and finishing. He's real well at finishing off the cars, make them look real nice.
Now,
And he does most of the electrical wiring on the things, and I've played a lot with the mechanical side.
Now, it all started with toys. Is that what you were
Yeah.
telling me? What kind of toys?
They were Construct, I believe is what it's called. We call it Constructo. It's similar to Legos, and they'd snap together, and you could build anything you could imagine.
And how old were you when you got your first Constructo?
I was probably 5 or 6 probably when we got our first little set,
So
and we liked it so much.
Yeah,
we
it
kept
was like
buying more.
before I was around.
you
so.
never even knew pre.
Yeah, I never knew life without Constructo.
It's like our son with his daughter with you know, she was doing this on the computer before she was able to walk, talk, or anything else, and it was just a given. Don't all kids grow up?
Every time we come up with an idea, even now with the electrothons, racing those cars, if we come up with an idea, even our brothers, well, if you get an idea for a car, a different layout or something, we go and build it out of the construct and see how it works and see how it looks. And
Oh, you're talking model building.
yeah. They're scaled, and we'd tried that because we've tried different ideas as far as the steering geometry, getting all the tires to line up when you're going through a corner and things like that. I've made one car where the rear wheels lean, so it's kind of like a bicycle, so it has less rolling resistance. There's all kinds of different ideas out there you can try with these, and the rules are all set up to where there's no limit. You've got the safety side of it, and then you've got the batteries, which you're limited on power, so it's all about efficiency.
So you both have one of these vehicles? And you both, I mean, where have you raced?
We race up at, our biggest race of the year is up at PIR, which is Portland International Speedway, up in
Vanport.
Portland. And
Indy cars and all the NASCARs race up there too.
Regular
race cars.
quarter
It's
mile or what?
It's
half
actually
mile?
1.9 miles.
Oh, it
It's a
is?
big road course, yeah.
What kind of speeds do you get?
on the straightaway, this last May, I reached a speed of 52 miles an hour, which is the fastest I've gone in my car.
Wow.
And it was also at Portland when I won my first trophy, which they had the first annual drag racing of the electrothons. And the rules were still the same as far as your battery limits and all the car safety features. Only thing is they would start off from a point and then they'd race along the pit. And
we used to call that drag racing,
yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm. And so I came in third place.
Now this is not part of a race car.
No, that's actually
it's a machining bit.
a machining bit from Boeing up in Seattle.
The guy that put on the race, he got these old bits from the Boeing. And
Recycle.
Yes, that's right.
Wonderful. Well, they're so modern that they even brought this, and I'm sure how many hours is on this single thing?
That one has 1 hour of race that we raced up in Walla Walla.
But you could put how many more races on here?
You could put, well, that's just a CD right there. So, and it's pretty much full on just the one race.
High tech.
That race there, he won that race, the race we had in Walla Walla.
Yeah, that's the first time I'd actually won a race, and I had 2 laps on second place, which was my brother. And
I was second in that one.
And the next guy was 3 laps behind him. So.
What's it like? And now you're both pretty thin. Is that something that you need to do, or you're just physically fit?
We're pretty active, but the rules in the race is the driver has to weigh at least 180 pounds. Because there's a lot of high schools that race. It's a big high school program. A lot of high schoolers do it. And so the object there is to get all the drivers on the same playing field.
If you weigh less than 180, well, then you have to carry ballast so that your total driver weight is 180.
That way somebody lighter doesn't have a big advantage.
If you weigh over 180, well, then that's your fault.
That's right.
So.
Well, that weigh in. So you weigh in just like boxers or anything else.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You have to. It's a given.
Yeah, you take your ballast and you hop on the scales with your helmet.
And you have a helmet on and all your clothes and gloves.
And drug-free.
Oh yeah.
Right. Bravo! This is my kind of youth activity. Now you guys are involved in more than just. I mean, where all has this racing taken you?
We got races in Portland, Eugene, Oregon, and the last race was the farthest we've gone for a race. It was back in Loudon, New Hampshire. at a 1 mile oval track.
And how many people did you meet there doing the same sort of?
There was quite a few people. There was a total of, there was 13 or 14 cars at that race. And this was the speed trials, which is, the track is ideal situation to try to break the world record, because the old world record was set at that track for 49 miles an hour average speed. Now that's going 49 miles in 1 hour with basically 2 car batteries. So you've got a very little power, and you got a very efficient car. And this here is the perfect track to try going that far.
It almost sounds like Kitty Hawk, doesn't it, to you folks? I mean, they chose the area to do the thing that they needed to do with the least technology. Or so did you do the whole 1 hour?
It was the race is for an hour, yeah. Yeah.
Obviously you did, or you wouldn't have the. Did they give you a loving cup or?
No,
I won. I took 3rd place in that race, and
you
the
got
guy
a
that,
trophy.
No, they didn't. They only had trophies for the 1st place on that one.
And
so
money?
we lucked out on that.
yeah,
There's usually lap money.
usually.
Well, but you know.
But that's basically your
Yeah.
entry fee.
So
it's a
it's,
long way.
it's not a financial investment. It's just
You can't make money out of it.
Yeah.
It's just a lot of fun.
And
And you get to learn about all these new technologies and put it
yeah,
in
you
use.
meet your neighbor who knows how to weld, and you meet. What's next? What's next for either or both of you?
That's a good question.
yeah. Well, it depends on what's going to happen tomorrow. So
Tomorrow?
and with like the flashlights, every day you don't know if the phone rings, you don't know if it's going to be your neighbor or your grandmother, or if it's going to be somebody from the military needing more lights. So you never know what's going to happen.
And I'm just tickled to death to see Grandma and Mom walk in here just a few minutes ago. You know, I've known the family because their auntie taught me 1st grade here in Southern Oregon, Aunt Florence. Of course, we called her Miss Smith then. And so it's been a connection between the families, and she was a super good teacher. Right out of high school, I think she had a brief summer training or something. It was wartime, and pulled these people together. We needed a teacher, and here she came, taller than I am now. I mean, is she taller than you guys? About.
She's pretty tall.
I doubt that she'd ever weigh 180, though, even with a helmet on. And she taught us how to love learning. Is that where this started?
Could be.
Your mom and dad love learning. They're both in the medical field. And how much of your house did you build yourselves?
Well, our parents have built the house that we lived in town. They built that from scratch. And the place that we're in now, the basic structure was there when we bought the place, but we had to
basically finish the inside.
Yeah, we had to do all the drywall and the mudding and painting.
Who does drywall? Who does finishing?
We all do a little bit of that.
We all have a little part that we do, or when there's, like the sheets of sheetrock are quite heavy, so when we're carrying those and then loading those, everybody kind of pitches in. So
You've got little brothers, and they have their jobs to do too?
Yeah.
Now they think this is normal, right? Just like you thought building those things out of
Construct.
I
Yeah.
was almost saying Legos, but they're not a lot different.
They're similar.
Because the sky's the limit. We use Tinker Toys, right? And Lincoln Logs to learn. And this is just an upgrade of technology. You've got 2 little brothers and a sister that's in between the 2 of you.
Yeah.
Tell us about your sister.
Her name's Christy, and she's 22?
23.
23, just turned 23.
And we surely wish Christy the very best. And that's part of the reason you went east, did I hear?
Yeah. Her and her husband moved out there.
How
And
exciting.
we went
Hi,
out and-
Christy.
We visited them when we were out there, and she came to the race.
Oh, I bet she did.
Yeah, she was taking pictures.
Camper's Way. My goodness. Sneak peek they were introducing
The,
some of your inventions.
right, the flashlight.
The,
They were doing an article on the flashlight.
and we mentioned they've gone. A lot of them have gone around the world. I'm sending a box to Africa. Going to put one in there. Sending a box to Iraq. Going to put some in there. Here is this woman's outdoor. There it is again. There it is again. Gear guides. So people are thinking about you all the time. I got one book here I'd like to talk to you a little bit about. Hans Diehl puts on a program of living naturally. And I know that's been a part of your life. And the program's going to come to Southern Oregon. It's already in Roseburg. And, you know, it just makes sense to live a healthy lifestyle. Your life's always been, right? Outdoors, fresh air, exercise.
And we're also vegetarian, so we eat a lot of fresh fruits and vegetables, and we also eat some dairy and stuff. But we pretty much don't eat any meat other than like a turkey at Thanksgiving sometimes. So.
Well, now, is that part of your backpacking routine? I mean, you live a vegetarian life on the trail? No beef jerky, no.
No.
What do you take?
What do you take? Well, when I leave out of town, there's only a few things that's fresh that you can actually take. One of the best things is an onion. So if you take bagels, I take a bagels for sandwiches, and an onion will keep on the trail. You don't have to worry about it going bad. That, and one of my favorites was potatoes. Take a raw potato, and what I do is when you're hiking, I use a small stove, and so what you try to use a minimum amount of fuel. So the fastest way of cooking a potato is to chop it up real small and boil it. And that was one of my favorite dinners on the trail.
I'll bet it was warm, but you'd have warm meals. Now, do you have like oatmeal for breakfast and that kind of?
Yeah, I had oatmeal a few times. But my favorite breakfast was homemade granola that our mom would make.
Now, Mom made the granola? Thanks, Mom. I want to show that book right there. Why?
Okay.
What's the handbook?
This one here?
Yeah,
This here is the rule book for the electric cars that we race, electrothons.
And you had some material about patents here. When you decided to go for your patent, was that something it was a natural. Once you got that little single bulb flashlight going, you decided, how did you learn about how to patent?
I had an uncle that had just gone through the patent process, patenting a little ice cream ball that he had invented.
Ice cream ball. Speaking of that, just happened to get a little snowball right off their car. And so Uncle said?
Well, Uncle, he had just gone through the process, and he had used the book "Patent It Yourself."
Okay.
And you can buy them at Barnes & Noble. And anyways, it was written by David Pressman, and he's a patent attorney. And the book "Patent It Yourself" goes through and outlines and tells you what type of items can be patented, and then also he goes through and tells you all about how to patent your invention. And
So you don't need a patent attorney at that time?
No, you don't necessarily need a patent attorney, but I would advise getting the book if you have an item you'd like to patent, and reading the book and finding out how the process works and what kind of things you can actually patent. And then if you want, write the patent, and then before you send it in, then go see a patent attorney, and you'll save a ton of money by doing a lot of the work yourself. But you can go to the patent attorney and right at the end, and he'll help you and make sure that all your legal knots are tied, basically.
So you had to learn to type, you had to learn to spell, you had to do all these things before you could actually present this, right? Homeschooling, folks. Now, this is a long, long ways from Sunny Valley and horse-drawn things. You're telling me that you use the same kind of basic power? Do you use solar?
We've got a couple solar panels, but most of our power comes from a hydro.
You mean water runs the place?
Right. We've got 2 big creeks on our property, and we've got an inlet, and basically what we've got is we've got natural pressure at our house from where the water intake is.
Okay, but what about your cars? They're running off
The
of
electric
what?
cars, they're running off batteries.
Okay, now could you charge the batteries at home? Off the solar panels? Excuse me, but you're way ahead of me here, so tell me, what's it like to be cutting edge in the year 2004 or 5 or 6? What do you have? Do you have ideas way out there ahead?
Yeah, there's lots of opportunities out there. What you kind of have to do is what happened with this flashlight, kind of how that came about, is you got to have a need, and there's got to be you got to have a problem, and then you got to be able to fix that problem and find the best way of doing it.
This guy, story about him?
This guy was a team leader of Maranatha over in India, and I believe that was in several years ago. And
About 2 years ago, wasn't it?
yeah, and in 2003.
And how does high-tech flashlight blinking go to him?
Well, there was, from our church, there was a team that was going over to India, missionaries.
From Medford, right?
Right, from the Medford church. And they were, and we gave them some flashlights to take over, because over in India, they don't have electricity as reliable as what they do here in the United States.
Oh, that's the understatement. Well, they're around the world. I hope to just inspire you folks that are watching today. Just enjoy the creativity of young people and think for yourself, what can I do? I'm Bernie Martin Beck saying thanks so much for tuning in, and thank you both for coming to Better Life Television.
Thanks for having us.